We're going to do a deep dive of our form builder today and walk through the different potential components. So I just got started by clicking to create a new template, and you'll land on the form builder part of the template. You can think of a form as any form that lives on the internet. This can be accessed by a mobile phone and it will be mobile optimized automatically, or this could be accessed on a desktop. A form might be as simple as the contact us page on your website, or it might be as complex as an entire financial application, including a form, a document, signatures, supporting documents, or anything in between. And we find customers use this for a variety of reasons, such as contact pages, pre-applications, full applications, MNDAs, W-9s. The sky's the limit for how you want to think about this. For the scope of today's video, we're really going to dig into the first element of this, which is the form. And when you create a new form, we'll have a starting point for you, which is what helps to create a customer record in our system and authenticate who that user is. So when you get started, the first thing that you'll do is add an element right here above where it says supporting documents. You can choose one of the dictionary fields that we've already got within our system, and this list will be evolving over time, searchable here. So for example, if you wanted to find DBA, you could type that in. You'll notice that the side of this is gray, meaning it doesn't yet exist on the form. You can just click and drag. If you put it in this gray space here, you're going to create a whole new card or a new page for the merchant to fill out. You'll have the ability to edit the label, which is what shows up to the customer when they're filling it in. You can add a placeholder, which is actually what we're looking at here, this grayed out text to give them some information about what they would see. You could predefine a default value. You could set conditional logic. You can make it required or not required. Hidden essentially wouldn't be visible to the customer, and a variety of other features that are within that. When you're done, we can go on and be ready to add our very next field. So maybe we want to add legal name as the next question. So once you type in legal, you're going to see all the different options that are available. I'm going to grab legal name. I'm going to keep it this time on the same card as opposed to dragging it in this space, which would create another page. And I'll go ahead and put that back there. And again, you can go through and configure this as you need. A few other things to keep in mind. Let's imagine that we're going to add address. Oftentimes what you'll see with address is a better use of space. So if you put your address and your city in here, what I'm going to do next is show you that you can add columns by dragging this on the right-hand side of the screen. And this will now set this up so that you can have it as a column on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and add zip code. And you can continue that process to make the page go wider, more narrow, structured in a way that's going to be best and sorted out for you. You can continue to move things around to design it in a way that fits your needs. So that's how you add elements. You can also create your own. So if you click this create button at the top, you have the ability to add a variety of types of fields. It's important to understand the difference. Text would be a string, meaning a mix of numbers and characters. So, any words would be a text, or potentially like a driver's license number often starts with a character and then has a series of numbers. A number field would restrict numbers only, which would be helpful if you didn't want them to be able to add in a letter or something like that. You have all the other components, websites, addresses, dates, radios, checklists, multi-pick lists. And if you add some of those, then you'll have the ability to add options. And when you put options on, it will create multiple options for how you'd want to work through that. So for example, if we grabbed a text box and we wanted to put that next on the form, you'll notice down here that there's a series of options, which is essentially going to be the label and then the text boxes that are on here. So if we added a few of these on the form, you can kind of see the solutions that will be coming up on the screen. This here. So now we've essentially added 3 different options for this checkbox as we've put it in. You'll also notice that there's a category. This is going to be where it shows up on the CRM and the customer record to give you the ability to circle through that. And over here kind of gives you a quick glance at what the customer is going to see now when they get to this page in terms of what they're looking at. So now you have a checkbox with 3 possible options. We've made it required. You can design the way that it looks and structured. You can also change the way that it's kind of structured and designed on the elements on the field. And you're starting to see now that some of these have green to the right, which means that they exist already on the form, as opposed to the ones that were in the gray in the dictionary that didn't exist on the form. Other than adding fields, you also have the ability to add supporting documents. So you could just go ahead and drag a supporting document into the supporting documents section. There are none by default, so you do have to add one. Here, maybe we'll say upload a copy of your voided check. And you can make this required or not required, depending on what you want. I would say that it's more common that supporting documents are not required, just in case they're not a part of available to the customer, but that is available in either way. And we haven't touched on conditional yet, but there's conditional logic. So for instance, you could require a customer to upload a voided check if they had answered another question a certain way. And the conditional logic would allow you to do that, to essentially show or hide these questions based on other questions. Or possibly maybe the result of this checkbox that we added here could, if they chose 2, for example, might ask 6 more questions that would pop up below the form based on the response of that. And again, you can be creative with this to design it in whatever way that works. We use a lot of conditional logic within our marketplace apps to basically reduce keystrokes. So our goal is to try to design forms with the least amount of questions necessary unless they're ultimately required, and then populate those over time to keep it a really simple experience with the customers. Finally, the last item that we have on here is the integrations. So there's a few that are form-based that you can add to the form. You can add a Plaid integration, as easy as dragging this in. Twilio and Google Maps are on by default. The Plaid integration would allow them to do a banking validation on the form. You would just drop that in like that, and now they have the ability to connect with Plaid. You can take it off just as easily, and you can alternately create a banking card if that was something that you wanted to do. So whenever you're done creating this form, you want to make sure that you would have given it a title. So I'm going to do that here, and you can also add a description. And now you're ready to go. You would save this form, and you're going to have a few ways that you can access it. Just left of the Save button, there will be a URL link, which you can copy and paste in your browser to actually see what this looks like from your customer's perspective. You can grab the embed code and you could paste this behind an Apply Now button or through some marketing emails that you do. Or alternatively, if you go to My Templates, this form will show up at the top of your list. You'll be able to access those buttons from that solution as well.